The first day I got my driver's license, I crashed into a luxury car right after hitting the road. The boss stepped out of the luxury car. She gave me a brief glance. Her lips lifted slightly as she said, "Let's get married." It was my first day with the driver's license. I drove to work that day. I rear-ended someone, and the car was a Cayenne. Although the situation wasn't serious, it was still a Cayenne. I was extremely nervous. I parked the car by the side of the road. I placed the triangular warning sign. The Cayenne's door opened. The boss, Shen Yachu, walked out with her long legs. I instantly realized it was over. It's Shen Yachu. I privately call her the cold-faced king of hell. Though she's beautiful, wealthy, and has a great figure, she has so many advantages. I tried to get closer to her at first, but it didn't take more than 3 days before I gave up. I've been with the company for over 2 months, and I've never seen her smile. Now I've rear-ended her. How much is this going to cost me? I'm at a loss for words. I awkwardly greeted her, "General Shen," but unexpectedly, her face showed urgency. She froze for a moment when she saw me. Suddenly, she came over and grabbed my hand. "Stop talking, just do me a favor." "What favor?" she said. "Pretend to be my boyfriend for a while." Before I could react, she had already pulled me into the Cayenne. We sped off. I saw her look nervous, so I stayed quiet, not daring to speak. She took me to the hospital's VIP ward. As soon as we entered, I saw a crowd gathered around a hospital bed. Lying on the bed was an elderly person. She pulled me to the bedside. "Grandpa, this is my boyfriend, Lu Yao." As she said this, she pinched my shoulder. I quickly got into character. I followed her and called out, "Grandpa." The person on the bed nodded with a sense of relief. Then she introduced me to the elders gathered by the bed. Seeing the situation, I immediately understood. The elderly person probably wouldn't be around much longer. The last wish before passing was to see his granddaughter married or something like that. Shen Yachu doesn't have a boyfriend, which is why she was in such a rush to have me pretend. No wonder she asked me for a favor. Considering I had just rear-ended her Cayenne, I had to make sure to perform well. So I kindly greeted the noble lady in front of me. "Auntie." The lady grabbed my hand. "Good boy. Thank you for taking care of Yachu." "You're welcome, Auntie." I grabbed the boss's hand, intending to interlock my fingers with hers. I clearly felt her stiffen for a moment, so I quickly changed it from interlocking to a simple pat. "Actually, it's Yachu who takes care of me." I mustered up the courage to say the boss's name, which resulted in her giving me an inexplicable look. I quickly avoided her gaze, feeling a bit speechless. "Boss, this is for the plot's sake. I can't just call you General Shen, can I?" "Well, this is more of a couple's communication. Isn't it a bit awkward to call you General Shen?" While I was still debating whether I should pull my hand back, she had already naturally held it, and my fingers were instinctively locked with hers. I felt the warmth coming from her fingertips. I nervously took deep breaths. Everyone around us watched our interaction, their faces filled with contentment. But since we were in the hospital, there were some things that couldn't be said to openly. I stood there for a while before leaving. The boss drove me home. On the way, I looked at her stunningly beautiful side profile, swallowed my saliva. I hesitated before speaking, "Boss, about the rear-end collision." I didn't quite know how to finish the second half of my sentence. Suddenly, she glanced at me. She pulled over and parked the car by the roadside. She turned her body toward me. I instantly shuddered. I thought the moment that will decide my fate is here. I wondered if, considering how I acted in the hospital, she might let me pay a little less, or maybe just forgive me entirely. But then I heard her say, "You'll have to compensate the full amount, or let's get married." I instantly froze like a wooden stake. I doubted if I was hearing things. The boss was still looking at me seriously. "What do you think?" I stood there dazed and said, "The wind is so loud." I didn't quite catch that. She suddenly raised her hand and rubbed her forehead. She spoke with a hint of helplessness. "You've seen my situation. My grandfather is in poor health. His wish is to see me married. But of course, this isn't a real marriage, just a fake wedding. To let him pass away in peace. I'm not sure if it's just my imagination, but I could feel she was a bit nervous. But even so, wasn't this request a bit too? Seeing me hesitate, she continued, after this is done, 10 million. 10 million. She said 10 million. Well, there's nothing else to say. I immediately looked up and said seriously, deal. In just one morning, I reached a fake marriage agreement with Shen Yuchu until her grandfather passed away. Afterwards, she gave me 10,000. As for General Shen at the company, we acted just like usual. At the company, if you want to keep pretending, I have no objections, she said indifferently. I imagined the degree of gossip among the colleagues at the company and couldn't help but shiver. I quickly shook my head. Forget it. I saw her slightly curl the corner of her lips. A smile fleetingly appeared. So quick it seemed like an illusion. It was fast, like a pleasant cooperation. She truly seemed to have made a business deal. She extended her hand to me. I hesitated and placed my hand in hers. I gave it a brief shake, then quickly let go, looking forward to a smooth cooperation. I said, still not believing. A $10 million deal was just made like that. I confidently patted my chest and guaranteed, rest assured, General Shen, if you have any requests, feel free to ask. I will make sure there are no problems here. It was just a polite gesture. I didn't expect her to make any requests. To my surprise, she actually responded, requests? Not really. But double glanced at me. There was a faint smile in her pupils. I'll allow you to call me Yuchu. I straightened up, suddenly remembering what had just happened. In the hospital, I called her that. She had shot me a glance back then. So when she said this now, was she serious? Or was it just a playful remark from before? I couldn't quite figure out what she meant. Just as I was about to ask her, I met her gaze, which was so close it seemed almost tearful. I immediately felt awkward. Now that I thought about it, I had never really observed her before. Her smooth face, her deep eyes, the perfect curve from her nose to her chin, the elegance and grace she exuded in every move. She was unbelievably beautiful. I trembled slightly. My heart felt overwhelmed with emotion. No! I can't call her Yuchu right now. I still can't do it. I pretended to yawn to brush it off. I cleared my throat. Rest assured, General Shen, I won't slip up with the way I address you. That Yuchu still didn't come out. She seemed completely indifferent, nodding casually, and continued driving. I strangely let out a sigh of relief. But because of this distraction, I completely forgot about the rear-end collision. It wasn't until we arrived at the company that I remembered. As I got out of the car, I suddenly grabbed her sleeve. General Shen, what about the rear-end incident? How should we handle it? She thought for 2 seconds and then said, with your driving skills, you shouldn't drive by yourself anymore. I'll pick you up and drop you off from now on. I didn't mean that when we returned to the company. The colleagues saw me and Shen Yuchu enter together, and they all stared at us curiously. Shen Yuchu, as usual, walked upstairs with a cold expression. I returned to my desk. Wang Ya from the next desk pulled me aside. Lu Yao, what's going on between you and General Shen? Her eyes sparkled with gossip. I sighed and told her the truth. I rear-ended General Shen's Cayenne. The gossip in Wang Ji's eyes instantly turned to sympathy. She patted my head. Ah, poor thing. She must have thought that. And I totally understood. After all, the nickname Cold-Faced King of Hell for Shen Yuchu wasn't given for nothing. After the rear-end collision, when I saw Shen Yuchu getting out of the car, I also felt like my heart had turned to ashes. Wang Ya sighed and walked back to her desk. I knew that within an hour, the news of me rear-ending Shen Yuchu's Cayenne would spread throughout the company. I sent Shen Yuchu a message on WeChat. General Shen, just now in the parking lot. I didn't have time to say, you don't need to pick me up for work. The WeChat was added right after the collision. She replied almost immediately, What happened? After all, with so many people in the company, it wouldn't be good if others saw. We didn't say much, but she probably understood. The chat box showed the other person is typing. After a while, her message popped up. Let's leave after everyone's gone. I froze for a moment, feeling a mix of anger and sadness. General Shen, do you understand the heart of a worker trying to leave on time? But I didn't dare say it out loud. After all, I still depended on her for my salary. I was still in my probation period and hadn't been confirmed yet. Plus, there's the 10,000. But as a seasoned worker, I knew exactly what kind of employee the boss appreciates. So I replied, I've got a lot of work today. I might have to work overtime, so I'll be leaving late. General Shen, you go ahead. Heh. By voluntarily mentioning overtime, I could avoid leaving with her and still leave a good impression on her. It was a win-win situation. I can't help but smile at my own cleverness. Then a message notification popped up. I eagerly checked it, and then froze, my smile fading. She replied quickly, with just 3 words, okay, I'll wait for you. I ended up working the longest shift since joining. And finally, I ended up in Shen Yachu's Cayenne. It suddenly hit me. She was the one who truly had a win-win situation. She asked for the address. She was sparing with her words. I gave her the location, and she didn't say anything. She just started the car. I sat in the passenger seat, feeling a bit anxious. I thought to myself, this can't continue like this. It felt like a secret mission, and I couldn't even leave on time. So I subtly reminded her, General Shen, you might want to fix this car tomorrow. Since I hit it today, driving it like this could hurt your image. She didn't look at me. She simply hummed lightly. I'll switch cars tomorrow. Her cold voice came from beside me. Don't worry, I won't make you late for work. What? I thought to myself, I never even considered whether I'd be late for work. But then she misunderstood, thinking I was asking about the car. My family also has a Rolls-Royce. The first thought that popped into my head was actually, I've never even ridden in a Rolls-Royce before. But then I quickly snapped out of it. No way! I have to restrain myself, that's not what I meant. I said in a daze. What I meant was, you driving me back and forth. Leaving early and returning late, it's quite a hassle. So maybe you don't need to drive me anymore? I looked at her expectantly. But to my surprise, she nodded in complete agreement. It is quite a hassle. My heart leapt with joy. So that means she agrees? Then I was just about to speak. But it turns out she hadn't finished talking. And then she continued to finish her thought. But it's only for these couple of days. I froze. Why? I asked in confusion. At that moment, we happened to hit a traffic light. She stopped the car. She turned her head to look at me. The wedding is happening in 3 days. I sat there, stunned, still not fully grasping it. After that, you'll live with me. I sucked in a sharp breath. Living together, 3 days from now. I stood in the auditorium, dressed in a groom's suit, looking at the people attending the wedding. I only felt like life was a hazy, surreal blur, like a dream or an illusion. When she told me we were holding a wedding, I was still thinking about things like relatives, the wedding dress, and invitations. But then she said to me, all I need is for you to show up on the day. She'd take care of everything else, including my parents. She drove straight to our house and locked herself in a room with my mom and dad for an hour-long private talk. Then suddenly, my mom warmly said to me, son, it's all settled, right? Then they joyfully prepared to marry me off. Shocked and bewildered, I grabbed Shen Yachu and asked, did you tell them the truth? Shen Yachu turned her head, avoiding my gaze. More or less. I looked around, glancing at her relatives and mine, noticing the friendly crowd with no issues, the rose-decorated auditorium, the wedding dress and setup all flawless, the officiant loudly asking if we were willing, the ceremony itself perfectly fine. So, looking at everything, was I, the groom, the only problem here? This wedding was just absurd. After the ceremony, Shen Yachu brought me to meet her parents. Her mother took out an exquisite jade pendant. Smiling, she said to me, this has been passed down in our family for generations. It was originally meant for the Shen family's descendants, but since Yechu is a daughter, we're entrusting it to you, our half-son. I turned my head, noticing that everyone had stopped talking at some point, all staring straight at me. I stood there, holding this jade pendant, feeling truly moved to receive such recognition. I was genuinely touched. But the problem was, this was a fake marriage. Could I really accept this? Holding it in my hands, my emotions were a complicated mess, and I didn't know what to do. Shenyechu patted me from behind. I glanced at her big sister. Are you serious? She didn't catch my look, instead taking the jade pendant from her mother's hands and personally putting it around my neck. The guests suddenly erupted into thunderous applause. Right now, I only had one thought. With things blowing up this big, how would we clean up the mess when the fake marriage got exposed? But reality didn't give me time to overthink. Shen Yechu was already pulling me along to toast the guests. It was Shen Yechu's first time handling a scene like this, toasting people. I was initially a bit nervous, but Shen Yechu leaned down and whispered faintly in my ear, "Just follow me." She walked ahead, calm and elegant, handling everything with ease, which put me at ease quite a bit. I pushed my worries to the back of my mind. I originally thought the wedding banquet would end smoothly like this, but Shen Yechu suddenly stopped, and I nearly bumped into her. What's wrong? Confused, I peered past her, tilting my head to look. There stood a boy in a refined suit, facing her. I recognized this boy. It was Gu Xingchen, the campus heartthrob from our university days, a senior. Gu Xingchen was known for his handsome looks, great physique, wealthy background, and being a top student, making him incredibly popular at our school. I'd seen him a few times before, when I hung out with seniors from my major, so I could recognize him now. At that moment, Gu Xingchen raised his wine glass, giving Shen Yechu a gentle smile. Long time no see. Shen Yechu paused for a moment, then suddenly pulled me forward, grabbing my hand and interlocking our fingers. Smiling back at him, long time no see. The wedding ended, and I followed Shen Yechu back to the old Shen family residence. On the way, I observed Shen Yechu's expression. It seemed as calm as usual, but with my sharp sixth sense, I was certain there was some gossip here. Getting out of the car, I was first stunned by the house in front of me. I couldn't help but sigh. Poverty really limits my imagination. Shen Yechu's mother, worried I might feel out of place, kept holding my hand tightly, telling me to treat this place like my own home. I responded with a touched smile. Since we were living with her parents, we couldn't sleep in separate rooms. We had to share the same one. After such a busy day, I took a refreshing hot bath, feeling delighted inside, planning how I'd spend the 10 million once it was in my hands. For some reason, I suddenly thought of Gu Xingchen, whom I'd seen at the banquet, and the subtle dynamic between him and Shen Yechu. After finishing my bath, I saw Shen Yechu leaning against the window. She hadn't changed her clothes yet, still by the window. She was gazing outside, seeming lost in thought. I couldn't help but swallow hard, clearing my throat lightly. She heard the sound, casually asking, "Done bathing?" But she didn't move. I stiffly walked toward her. Finally, I asked her, "President Shen, did you know Senior Gu Xingchen before?" Shen Yechu's gaze silently shifted toward me, her peach blossom eyes holding a teasing half-smile. "You know Gu Xingchen too? We went to the same school, so I know of him, but he doesn't know me." She turned her head away and didn't say anything, looking at the starry sky outside. Just when I thought she wouldn't answer me, she slowly uttered two words, "First love." First love indeed. I couldn't. My heart swelled with the excitement and thrill of uncovering some juicy gossip. I'd already sensed something off at the wedding banquet, and sure enough, there was a story between them. Suddenly, I recalled hearing back in sophomore year that Gu Xingchen, the aloof senior in his fourth year, had announced he was off the market. The one who won him over was the campus beauty from the neighboring school. Now that I think about it, that campus beauty back then must have been Shen Yechu. No doubt about it. I was hesitating whether to keep asking, when Shen Yechu turned around, casually leaving a feint going to show her, and walked past me toward the bathroom. I had no choice but to suppress my curiosity. Lying on the bed alone, it belatedly hit me. Wait, I'm going to sleep with Shen Yechu tonight? I quickly got up and scanned the room. Yep, just one bed. Realizing this fact, a wave of awkwardness instantly washed over me. I was already doubting whether I'd be able to sleep tonight. Distracted, I scrolled through my phone for a bit. The door creaked open, and I instinctively looked over. There was Shen Yechu walking out. I forgot to bring my pajamas in, she said as if explaining to me. No problem. After a while, I felt her lie down beside me. Lights off! I frantically tapped the light switch until it went out. I said good night, but didn't get an immediate response. After a moment, I thought I wouldn't be able to sleep, but unexpectedly, after lying in bed for a while, listening to her soft, shallow breathing beside me, I fell asleep quickly. I had a dream. I dreamt I was a demon-slaying warrior in the martial world. While traveling a mountain path at night, I encountered 6 veiled female demons on the way. She fled, I pursued. She couldn't escape even with wings. In the end, she lured me into a cave, tempting me in every way. I refused to yield, even unto death, brandishing my sword to capture her. Where do you think you're running, you little demon? She stood still, gazing at me intently, then suddenly threw herself into my arms. As her veil fell, I saw Shen Yechu's face and heard Shen Yechu's enchanting voice. Hero, after this is done 1,000 tales. She placed my hand on her waist. The dream felt so real that I couldn't help but open my eyes. When I did, I really saw a little demon, Shen Yechu, lying on her side, looking at me. Our eyes met. Having fun? Lu Yao! I stayed silent, a silence so intense it made me want to disappear on the spot. Trying to stay calm, I greeted her. Morning, President Shen, while casually moving my hand off her body, then quickly sitting up as if nothing happened. Getting up, I noticed I'd somehow squeezed from my side of the bed to the middle, practically sleeping pressed against Shen Yechu. I coughed awkwardly a couple of times, scratching my head in embarrassment. My sleeping habits are a bit bad. Did I disturb you, President Shen? She didn't get out of bed right away. Just said it's fine, just shouting at me, where are you running, you little demon? And pouncing right at me, that's all. I immediately started coughing even harder. I was just groggy from sleep. Why? I'm not usually like that, I hurriedly explained to her in a fluster, meeting her teasing gaze, but still holding my ground. I cleared my throat and said, President Shen, please don't take it the wrong way. She glanced at me, her eyes sparkling with amusement, and said lightly, it's fine. Consider it a perk for you. She got up and went to the wardrobe to change. We both got ready, went downstairs for breakfast. Then the family went to the hospital to visit Grandpa. Shen Yechu's mother held my hand, saying because of Grandpa's condition, your wedding was a bit rushed, and you can't go on a honeymoon yet. I hope you don't mind, her tone even carrying a hint of apology. I couldn't stop marveling. Shen Yechu's mother was just so gentle, completely different from Shen Yechu's icy demeanor. I quickly smiled and said, Mom, we're all family. Please don't say that. That cheered her mom up. Shen Yechu drove me to work. When we were almost at the company, I asked her to drop me off early so I could walk the rest of the way. She frowned slightly, but didn't say much. Back at the company, I just sat down when Sister Wang rushed over, saying in a hurry, the project leader from Shinrui Group is coming soon to discuss a big project, and they need me to help organize the materials and bring them over. I followed Sister Wang, pushed open the meeting room door, and froze. The project leader from Shinrui Group was Gu Xingchen. Manager Gu, please have a seat. Our department manager greeted enthusiastically. Gu Xingchen nodded politely and sat down. He looked every bit the refined and elegant intellectual. Then he turned his gaze to me, smiling as he said, we're meeting again so soon. I froze for a second. Yeah, indeed. The way the manager and Sister Wang looked at me changed. I started to get nervous, afraid they'd find out about my marriage to Shen Yuchu. So I quickly cut in, well, if there's nothing else, we won't disturb you too. We'll head out now. I set down the materials, grabbed Sister Wang, and left. I cast a guilty glance back at Gu Xingchen, seeing only his composed, elegant smile. Meanwhile, the manager was eagerly attending to him. Manager Gu, please wait a moment. Our President Shen will be down shortly. I pushed the door open and quickly stepped outside. Sure enough, as soon as we were out, Sister Wang grabbed me, asking, "The young master of Shinrui Group, you don't know?" I stared blankly. Then it hit me quickly. She was talking about Gu Xingchen. He was a senior at my university. We met a few times back in school. Sister Wang nodded. I see. I let out a long breath of relief, heading back to my desk. Sister Wang casually smiled and said to me, "You probably don't know. This young master used to date our President Shen. They were practically a match made in heaven. No one knows why they broke up. Do you think this project meeting might lead to them getting back together?" I listened to Sister Wang's chattering, and for some reason, my heart suddenly didn't feel as light as it did this morning. Distracted, I sat down at my desk. My seat hadn't even warmed up yet when the project supervisor walked over with a cold expression, calling me into the office alone. I stood up, and Sister Wang gave me a good luck look. I sighed helplessly. There was bad blood between me and the supervisor. It started over 2 months ago, when I interviewed for this job. According to Sister Wang, the supervisor's classmate's daughter had just graduated this year too, and was applying for the same position as me. The supervisor had even pulled some strings with HR about it. But on the interview day, something unexpected happened. The icy king of hell, Big Boss Shen Yuchu, took over. She sat in on the interview, and with her there, the HR manager couldn't pull any strings, so they ended up hiring me. That's why the supervisor has held a grudge against me ever since. But since I was personally brought in by the boss, handpicked by her, no matter how much the supervisor resented me, she didn't dare make it too obvious. At most, she'd pile a ton of work on me, make me stay late, or nitpick and criticize me for no reason. Like now, Lu Yao. Do you have any idea that with the project in full swing, your leave caused so much trouble for everyone? Her expression made it seem like my 2 days off had cost the company billions. I responded calmly. I finished all the necessary work ahead of time before taking the leave, and the leave slip was approved by the department manager. Since I've only been here 2 months and haven't gone permanent yet, most of the work I've been handling is routine stuff like reports. The day before I took leave, I finished everything in advance. She slammed the table. Don't try to use the manager to pressure me. Anyway, you're staying late tonight to catch up on everything you missed. Only then can you leave. She finished yelling and waved her hand, signaling I could take the materials on the desk and go. No need to guess these were all extra, repetitive, unimportant tasks. She was just using this as an excuse to mess with me. I hesitated for a moment, then kindly reminded her, "Supervisor, I might not be able to stay late recently." Her eyes widened instantly. Not convenient? Then is it convenient for you to even come to work? Why don't you just quit? Pack up your stuff and get out. I looked at her, gave her a pitying glance, picked up the stack of materials and left. A slightly dark thought crossed my mind. I used to put up with your nonsense, but not anymore. Carrying the huge pile of documents back to my desk, Sister Wang looked at me with sympathy. She sighed beside me. She's trying to force you out to make room for someone else. I tossed the materials aside, ignoring them. Sister Wang patted me, the excitement in her eyes impossible to hide. Don't be upset, I've got some big gossip for you at lunch. At lunchtime, I gathered with a few close colleagues, but Secretary Wang didn't show up. Secretary Wang is with President Shen and the young master of Shinrui Group, ordering food for them. She won't be joining us. Someone else chimed in. Oh, the young master of Shinrui Group isn't that the one with President Chen? A spark of gossip lit up in someone's eyes. It's him! It's him! Everyone eagerly jumped in conversation. President Chen wouldn't get back together with him, right? After breaking up with him, she's never dated anyone else. Amid the buzzing discussion, Sister Wang lightly coughed, and we all immediately turned our attention to her. Sister Wang glanced at us, saying mysteriously, "Do you know, during the 2 days you were on leave, the big boss on the top floor didn't come in either. It seems there was some family matter. Do you know what it was about?" That last sentence was directed at all of us. I couldn't help but feel a surge of nerves. Had Sister Wang figured something out from this coincidence? I don't know. Everyone shook their heads. Sister Wang's expression was like she'd uncovered some earth-shattering secret. Lowering her voice, she said it was a wedding. I was still on edge, trying to figure out where I might have slipped up, when someone already asked, "How do you know?" Sister Wang kept us in suspense, pausing before finally saying, "I heard it from Secretary Wang. She said President Chen was wearing a wedding ring." A wedding ring? Everyone gasped in shock. I played along, mimicking their surprised expressions, but secretly gritted my teeth. This morning when we came in, did that guy forget to take it off or something? I quickly pulled out my phone, found Shen Yuchu's chat window. "Take off the wedding ring quick." Secretary Wang saw it. After sending it, I realized she was eating with Gu Xingchen. Probably too busy to reply. But then the screen flashed. Since it's already been seen, isn't it a bit late to take it off now? I froze in my panic earlier. I'd gotten a bit muddled, now that I thought about it. Yeah, taking it off now was indeed too late. Still, even so, I stared at the message she sent, and somehow felt she didn't seem the least bit reflective about her slip-up. Meanwhile, Sister Wang and the others were still gossiping. No idea who the mysterious man who married President Chen could be. What kind of person is he? So jealous! President Chen might be a bit older, but she's rich and gorgeous. The perfect aloof and touchable type. Yeah, totally. Secretary Wang said. That huge diamond ring on President Chen's hand was practically blinding. Who managed to pluck this unattainable flower? I sat there, forcing a dry laugh as I listened, occasionally chiming in awkwardly. I couldn't exactly tell them that the mysterious person they were talking about was me, right? Even if it's just temporary. After lunch, I went back to my desk, kept busy all afternoon, and soon it was time to clock out. Everyone started leaving one by one, until I was the only one left in the office. I pulled out the materials the supervisor had given me, sent Shen Yuchu a message. President Chen online begging for rescue. Waited for ages. No reply from her. I couldn't help feeling a bit down. They say it's nice to have a big tree to lean on. If a big thigh is offered up, I'd be dumb not to cling to it. I was originally planning to complain to her about the project supervisor's nasty behavior, but I sighed, resigned myself, and opened the materials. Just as I was about to start checking them, I suddenly heard footsteps. Looking up as they got closer, I saw Shen Yuchu heading toward me. President Chen! I stood up to greet her, pleasantly surprised. She glanced at me faintly. Rescue from what? I pushed the stack of documents in front of her. Look at this, all these are projects already completed and filed, yet they're making me double-check them again. I have reason to believe this is targeted at me. Shen Yuchu casually flipped through them. They're indeed finished. The back has my signature in big letters. I looked at her expectantly, and she looked back at me. Her eyes tinged with amusement. Then she nodded. All right, then I'll work on it with you. With that, she sat down and started seriously reviewing the documents. Wait, this isn't right. That's not what I meant. Why isn't she following the script? President Shen, shouldn't you just tell me to go home, then come back tomorrow and chew out the supervisor? Why didn't she even lift her head? She just said. I hesitated, then muttered. A lot of articles on Douyin write it that way. She stared at me for a moment, took a breath. Read fewer wish fulfillment stories in the future. I gritted my teeth and sat down, secretly rolling my eyes at her. Nope, I won't. If I'd known reality would be like this. Can I at least get some satisfaction from fiction? After slogging through it for over 3 hours, we finally finished organizing the materials. I stretched and said, "Time to eat." She stood up too. I nodded eagerly, grabbed my phone and headed out. I thought, at the Cantonese restaurant, despite the late hour, the place was still packed with people. A testament to how popular and tasty the food was. She handed me the menu. The lobster in superior broth here is pretty good. I gave her a curious look, ordered the lobster, and added a few signature dishes. The food came quickly. Shen Yechu was right. The taste was indeed amazing. I was already starving, so I didn't hold back, eating with total abandon. But after a couple of bites, Shen Yechu suddenly stopped, and I followed her gaze as I turned my head. Gu Xingchen walked over from behind me. What a coincidence! Mr. Gu is here too. Shen Yechu stood up, pouncing Gu Xingchen. Her expression shifted. Compared to their daytime meeting, it now carried a touch more softness, making her seem more approachable. He smiled and said, "We used to come here a lot back then. Couldn't forget the taste of the lobster. One happened to be nearby today, so I stopped by. Didn't expect it to be this much of a coincidence. So this was a place they used to frequent together." Suddenly, the lobster in my mouth didn't taste as good. Mind if I sit here? Gu Xingchen pointed to the empty seat beside her. Shen Yechu gave a polite smile. "Mr. Gu, feel free. We're done eating, so we'll head out first." With that, she pulled me still hungry out the door. Are these two having some kind of conflict? We returned home in silence. "You and Senior Gu, are you okay?" I asked her tentatively. "There's nothing between us to begin with," she said with a serious expression. I couldn't help but grumble inwardly. This is obviously the face of someone who has something going on. Thinking about it, I just felt bad for myself. I didn't even get full from that meal earlier, and now my stomach was still growling. The housekeeper at home had already gone to rest, so if I wanted food, I'd have to make it myself. But after such a busy day, I was honestly exhausted. I debated whether to bother cooking. "I'm so hungry." She stayed quiet for a moment, then said with a hint of helplessness, "I'll make you something to eat." I was shocked. "You can cook?" A big shot president like her. She can cook? Shen Yechu didn't respond. Just walked straight to the kitchen. After a while, she came out with a bowl of noodles. I sniffed it. The smell was a bit odd. I took a bite, and with a blank face, I said, "It's well done. Don't make it again next time." The next morning when I woke up, I was, as expected, in Shen Yechu's arms again. Compared to yesterday's awkwardness, we were both pretty calm about it this time, but I was a little puzzled. Normally, I might talk in my sleep occasionally, but my sleeping habits are decent, so why have I been so restless since coming here? After breakfast, I headed to work. Placed the materials I sorted last night on the desk. The supervisor looked surprised. "You finished all of it?" I said coolly. "Didn't the supervisor say I couldn't leave until it was done?" I smirked inwardly, trying to force me to quit with this trick. Keep dreaming. I turned and headed back to my desk, passing by the elevator, and once again saw the manager and Gu Xingchen waiting there. I went back and asked Sister Wang about it. Turns out yesterday's project discussion wasn't finished. Sister Wang said, "I heard there are still some details to hash out." She leaned in closer. "This young master's been coming a lot these past 2 days. Why do I feel like President Shen might be in danger? She wouldn't cheat, would she?" We exchanged a look. "Yup, I feel the same way." This time, Gu Xingchen left pretty early. After lunch in the afternoon, the supervisor and the HR manager came to find me. "Lu Yao, you've been with the company for almost 3 months now, right?" I nodded stiffly, but my heart was racing with nerves. I glanced at the supervisor beside me. Her expression was incredibly grim. Did this woman pull some strings again, causing me to fail my probation period? The HR manager smiled cheerfully and said, "Here's the thing, this morning, President Shen went to the archives and happened to run into Supervisor Zhao delivering some old project files. President Shen thought they were very well organized. Asked Supervisor Zhao about it and found out you did it. She asked if you'd be willing to be her assistant." Assistant, my eyes lit up. No wonder last night Shen Yachu insisted on staying with me to finish sorting those documents. So this was her plan all along. She must think our relationship needs to stay under wraps. It can't be too obvious. So she used this method to help me escape the clutches of evil. That must be it. This big thigh really didn't disappoint. I happily agreed. But the HR manager hadn't finished speaking yet. "There's one more thing." I quickly perked up my ears. President Shen asked me to tell Supervisor Zhao that organizing projects this way is excellent, so all the other completed projects this year should follow the same approach. President Shen said Lu Yao should teach Supervisor Zhao how to do it without interfering with your regular duties. And this task will be handled personally by Supervisor Zhao. I looked at Supervisor Zhao. Her face had turned green. Trembling, she stammered, "There are thousands of completed projects this year. Does President Shen really want me to do it alone?" The HR manager nodded. President Shen said, "Supervisor Zhao, since you managed to train Lu Yao, who's only been here 2 months, into someone so outstanding, she believes you can definitely handle it. Good luck." I even patted her shoulder on purpose, barely holding back my laughter. Suddenly, my mind flashed to Shen Yachu's expressionless face. Using their own tactics against them, she sure knew how to deal with people. That same day, Sister Wang and the others earnestly urged me, "If there's any gossip about President Shen, you have to tell us." I sincerely promised I would. My new desk was right outside Shen Yachu's office. After settling in, I knocked on Shen Yachu's office door. "Come in," her voice called from inside. I pushed the door open and stepped in. She looked up at me. "What's up?" I felt a bit embarrassed. "I came to thank you, President Shen, for helping me." She stared at me intently. "How are you going to thank me?" I froze for a moment. "President Shen, you tell me how I should thank you." She leaned back in her chair, a smile tugging at her lips. "I haven't decided yet. I'll let you know when I figure it out." I walked out the door in a daze, only snapping out of it after a while. Why does it feel like I just sold myself? Regardless, I quickly settled into my new position, the Shin Rui Group project. Due to one sticking point they couldn't agree on, then Gu Xingchen came to see Shen Yachu almost every day. He was pretty surprised when he first saw me. But since we weren't close, he just gave a polite smile, without much small talk. Truth be told, I didn't have much time to chat with him either. The new job was a bit tougher than I'd expected. And being new to the role, there was a lot I had to learn, which kept me busy and exhausted every day. That day, I got off work late again. Shen Yachu took me out for dinner, and on the way back, I sat in the car yawning nonstop. Shen Yachu sat next to me, tired, with my eyes closed. I didn't even want to talk, just nodded half-heartedly. In a hazy daze, I thought I heard a soft sound by my ear. She said, "You can rest now, Lu Yao." When I woke up again, I was in Shen Yachu's arms. Opening my eyes, I saw Shen Yachu's magnified face right in front of me. I jolted awake instantly, completely alert. Focusing my eyes again, I realized I wasn't in the car anymore, but on the sofa inside the house. So did Shen Yachu carry me in? "President Shen, sorry. I was just groggy from sleep," I hurriedly said. But in this atmosphere, I somehow felt a bit awkward, not daring to look at her face, my heart pounding wildly. Her expression remained calm. "I'll get you some water." As she turned away, I thought I saw a hint of red on her ears, so she felt uneasy too. I glanced around at the others. They were all asleep. This lone man and woman vibe was way too intimate. She brought the water over, and I gulped it down in one go. Our eyes met. Both of us a little embarrassed. Shenyechu cleared her throat lightly. You should go take a shower. I didn't say much, nodded and said okay. Quickly turning and heading to the bathroom, I splashed cool water on my face, finally feeling the heat subside a bit. But my heart was still racing. My mind was full of Shenyechu's face. Oh no, am I actually starting to like her? I shook my head repeatedly. No, this won't do, no matter how you look at it. We don't seem to belong to the same world. Plus, there's Gu Xingchen too. I let out a wistful sigh. The project with Shinrui Group was finally settled. Gu Xingchen came over that day to sign the contract. The three of them were discussing in the room, while I assisted on the side. Gu Xingchen suddenly told me he forgot a document, asking if I could go downstairs to print a copy and bring it back for them. When I returned, at the door, I faintly heard Gu Xingchen's voice, tinged with tears. You finally found him. The moment I pushed the door open, I saw them embracing. Or rather, Shenyechu was standing, while Gu Xingchen hugged her from behind. Gu Xingchen was indeed crying. When they saw me, the two of them instinctively pulled apart, and I stood there stunned for a moment before reacting. Sorry, Before I could finish, Shenyechu walked toward me with a cold expression. There's nothing to apologize for. With that, she suddenly grabbed my hand and headed out. Hey, I turned back, seeing Gu Xingchen crouch down, covering his face as he sobbed. But Shenyechu didn't even pause. I followed her in a daze, vaguely recalling. This seemed like the third time this scene had played out, since that time at the restaurant. Under the shocked gazes of countless colleagues, Shenyechu pulled me forward with long strides, exuding an icy aura. No one daring to approach, she led me to the car. I obediently sat in the passenger seat, wondering nervously if she'd take it out on me. She got into the driver's side, started the car but then stopped again, suddenly turning to ask me. Her tone was somewhat exasperated. Should I even have to ask? I stared at her blankly. This was the first time I'd seen her so flustered, leaving me at a loss for how to respond. Her hand suddenly slammed down on the steering wheel, the car letting out a sharp beep, startling me. She whipped her head around to look at me. Don't I have even the slightest place in your heart? Where did that come from? Ask me about Gu Xingchen already. She leaned closer to me. Why? I was utterly dumbfounded. What was she trying to say? She said, because I don't want you to misunderstand. Hearing that, I froze, a faint thought stirring in my mind. Does she not like Gu Xingchen? Could the person she likes be me? Then go ahead and tell me, I said, looking at her nervously. She gazed at me steadily. 3 years ago, I accidentally fell into a lake. A boy pulled me out back then. I was dazed, barely conscious, only hearing that boy vaguely talking to some passers-by nearby. Something about him being on duty at the university's public service. After I recovered, I went to the university to find him, but all the clues pointed to Gu Xingchen. I thought it was him. He didn't deny it either. We dated for a while, but then I realized he wasn't the one, so we broke up. She leaned even closer to me, her gaze so intense it felt like she might devour me. That boy was you. Is that right? A flood of long-buried memories suddenly hit me. I did save someone once. It was during the summer of my freshman year, when I went out to have fun. Halfway through, a senior suddenly asked me for a favor, to cover a shift for senior Gu Xingchen. I rushed back in a hurry, passing by an artificial lake, and noticed someone thrashing in the water. Without a second thought, I jumped in and pulled them out, because I was in such a rush. Once the ambulance arrived, I planned to leave quickly. Someone grabbed me, asking me to leave contact info so they could follow up on the details. My phone had gotten soaked, so I left the number for the student affairs office. To this day, I can't recall the details of the rescue, including what the person I saved looked like, but I've always remembered the incident. It was one of my proudest moments. I even put it in my resume. In the personal introduction section, it was me. I nodded. You recognized me a long time ago? She smiled. Yeah, I recognized you during your interview. So that's why you hired me? My heart felt a little thrill. So from the moment we reunited, she'd already had her eye on me. Not exactly. She said, me wanting to pursue you is my own business. Even if you weren't at the company, I have found a way to get close to you. I scratched my head. President Chen, are you confessing to me right now? I asked her for confirmation. What else would it be? Her words carried a hint of grievance. My grin was stretching ear to ear. Under her intense gaze, I nodded. Since you're being so forward about it, I'll reluctantly agree. She immediately pounced on me, our lips locking together. Suddenly, a flash of light shattered the moment. A camera flash. I quickly looked up and saw Sister Wong standing in front of the car, holding her phone, her face full of shock. When she noticed us both looking at her, she snapped out of it, hurriedly saying, President Chen, I didn't mean to. I was just worried when I saw you dragging Lu Yao. So I came to check. I really didn't mean to intrude. Shen Yachu's expression remained calm. Impossible to tell what she was thinking. Meanwhile, a massive wave of panic surged through me. Sister Wong knows, which means basically the whole company will know. How am I supposed to survive at work after this? I quickly got out of the car, grabbed Sister Wang's hand, tearing up as I pleaded, please, you can't tell anyone. She glanced at Shen Yachu, then at me, and nodded firmly. But 5 minutes after she left, a message popped up in the company's internal gossip WeChat group. Shocking, the cold-faced king of hell big boss's little sweetheart is him, followed by a photo of me and Shen Yachu kissing. Then, Sister Wong, did you forget I'm in this group too? At that moment, Shen Yachu was focused on driving. I asked, where are we going? She said, the Civil Affairs Bureau. In her hand was a red marriage certificate, featuring a photo of the two of us together. It suddenly hit me back on that day of the rear-end collision. What I thought was just an absurd fake act had now become real.